By the end of 1944, the skies above Europe had become a theater of relentless fire. Thousands of Allied bombers streamed into German airspace daily, escorted by squadrons of fighters, while flak cannons roared from below. But in this crucible of smoke, fire, and metal, another phenomenon emerged, utterly silent and utterly inexplicable. It began subtly. Reports from pilots described glowing orbs appearing suddenly beside their aircraft, hovering motionless, then darting away at impossible speeds. Some were described as orange spheres, others as metallic silver-gray discs. They flew in patterns no known plane could match, circling, pacing, even mimicking formation flight. They were dubbed Foo Fighters, a name born from a comic strip reference, but laced with nervous humor. Initially dismissed as hallucinations caused by combat stress or oxygen deprivation, the consistency of reports told another story. Crews from multiple squadrons, across nationalities, reported near-identical encounters. One chilling pattern stood out: the lights never attacked. They exhibited what one pilot called non-human curiosity. Sometimes they interfered with onboard electronics, causing radio static, gyro failures, and even momentary blackouts on radar. But never once did they display aggression. They watched. On February 20, 1945, over the heavily bombed region near Cologne, 4 separate B-17 crews described the same surreal event. 3 orange-red orbs that flanked their bombers in perfect symmetry. One crew reported their instruments freezing. Another described a static pressure in the cockpit, like the air itself was vibrating. Just as suddenly as they had appeared, the lights blinked out, leaving no trace, only the sense that something had been observing and judging. Even more unsettling, Luftwaffe pilots reported the same phenomena. A now declassified interrogation transcript of a German night fighter pilot revealed his belief that the lights were an American experimental device. His American counterparts believed the opposite. When the war ended, Allied intelligence scored captured German facilities for evidence of these Foo Fighters, believing them to be secret Nazi tech. But nothing was found. No blueprints, no prototypes, not even speculation. To this day, no definitive scientific explanation exists. Some chalk it up to ball lightning, electrical plasma, or ionized gas, generated by the friction of massive aerial battles. Others suggest psychological mass suggestion. But the pilots who saw them weren't mystics or conspiracy theorists. They were trained men of war, grounded in instrumentation, procedures, and survival. A few voices in the intelligence community offered another theory, that the lights were not man-made at all. Not ours, not theirs. Something else. Something that watched humankind as it entered its most destructive phase in history, not to intervene, but to observe, like scientists studying ants during a wildfire. In the archives of aviation history, the Foo Fighters remain an unresolved footnote, but for those who saw them, they are more than a curiosity. They are the eyes in the sky that no one sent. Crimean Goths. The Crimean Goths were remnants of a Gothic group that established themselves in the Crimean Peninsula from the 3rd century onward. While their western cousins formed powerful kingdoms, the Crimean branch remained in relative seclusion. Initially displacing or integrating with local populations, the Goths carved out territory among Greeks and Scythians. They became part of the Ostrogothic realm under King Hermaneric until the Huns dismantled it in the late 4th century. Survivors retreated into the mountainous south of Crimea, forming an isolated community. This region, later known as Gothia, became a bastion of their culture. Archaeological finds support their enduring presence. Their remote location shielded them from major upheavals, aiding their survival. Christianized early by the missionary Wulfila, the Goths later entered into a loose relationship with the Eastern Roman Empire. Though far from Constantinople, they traded and shared religious ties. In the early medieval era, they faced new powers, including the Khazars, under whom they likely paid tribute while maintaining autonomy. By the 14th century, they formed the Principality of Theodoro, a multicultural state with Gothic roots. The principality was strongly influenced by Byzantine culture and maintained ties to Greek states like Trebizond. Despite being surrounded by rival forces, Theodoro held out through strategic alliances and its defensible terrain. That ended in 1475 when the Ottoman Empire, fresh from its conquest of Constantinople, overran the region. After the fall of Mangup Fortress, the last Gothic stronghold fell. Even after their state disappeared, the people did not vanish overnight. Gothic communities persisted into the 16th century. European travelers reported encountering people who spoke a Germanic tongue. One such report came from diplomat Ogier Gisela de Busbecq in the 1550s. Other accounts surfaced of locals with Germanic traits or language. However, by the late 18th century, these mentions ceased. The last credible report dates to around 1780, noting a distinct group with unfamiliar customs and speech. Over time, the Crimean Goths assimilated into surrounding populations, Tatars, Greeks, and others. Observers even noted fair features in remote communities, possibly hinting at Gothic ancestry. Thus, a people who had maintained identity for over a millennium eventually faded into the cultural mosaic of Crimea. Did the Templars worship Baphomet? In 1307, King Philip IV of France, eager to cancel his debts and claim the wealth of the Knights Templar, launched a sweeping arrest of the order's members. With support from Pope Clement V, Templars were charged with blasphemy, heresy, and the alleged veneration of a mysterious idol named Baphomet. The name had appeared earlier during the Crusades, likely as a distorted version of Muhammad, due to the medieval European misunderstanding of Islam. Christians of the time often depicted Muslims as idolaters who worshipped Muhammad as a god. Over time, Baphomet came to symbolize a generic pagan or heretical deity in Christian discourse. During the Templar trials, accounts of Baphomet varied wildly. Some captives described a disembodied head, others spoke of a three-faced figure, and a few mentioned animals or human skulls. No physical idol was ever found. The term Baphomet did not appear in the original charges. Its emergence came during interrogations, suggesting that inquisitors may have introduced the idea. Out of 231 Templars questioned in Paris, only 12, fewer than 5%, confessed to knowing anything about Baphomet, and those confessions were extracted under duress. Most admitted to lesser accusations, like spitting on the cross, which suggests that the Baphomet charge was not widely accepted, even under torture. Many retracted their confessions once freed from their cells. Outside France, papal inquiries found little proof of heresy. In England and the Holy Roman Empire, most Templars were pardoned or lightly punished. Nevertheless, under pressure from Philip, French courts proceeded. The order's Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, eventually retracted his confession and was burned at the stake in 1314. Scholars today agree that the Baphomet accusation was fabricated, echoing older charges used against other perceived heretics like the Cathars. While there were rare cases of individual Templars converting to Islam, such as Robert of Street, Albans, who joined Saladin's forces, no credible evidence supports the idea of widespread Islamic sympathy, let alone idol worship. Despite the medieval smear, the legend of Baphomet was resurrected centuries later. In 1818, Orientalist Joseph von Hammer-Purgstall claimed the Templar worshipped Gnostic idols. Then in the mid-1800s, French occultist Eliphas Lévy reimagined Baphomet as a goat-headed hermaphrodite, embodying duality and cosmic balance. His illustration became iconic, though it had no historical link to the Templars. The image stuck. Though the Templars were officially absolved, the myth endures, a potent fusion of politics, torture, and occult fantasy that refuses to disappear.